Bore da, good morning everyone, and thank you very much indeed for giving Natural Resources Wales the opportunity to speak this year's Marine Energy Wales Conference. We've been working closely with Dave and his colleagues in Marine Energy Pembrokeshire and now Marine Energy Wales for many years now, and I'm really pleased to be part of this exciting event and to be able to highlight some of the work that we are doing in NRW to support the development of a sustainable marine energy industry in Wales. I'm going to start my talk with a brief overview of NRW, including who we are and what we do in relation to marine energy, as you may not all be familiar with us and our role. Natural Resources Wales is a Welsh Government-sponsored body. We came into being in April 2013, largely taking over the functions of the Countryside Council for Wales, the Forestry Commission Wales and the Environment Agency in Wales, as well as certain Welsh Government functions. NRW's purpose, as defined in the Environment Wales Act, is to pursue the sustainable management of natural resources in Wales and apply the principles of sustainable management of natural resources in the exercise of our functions, using natural resources in a way and at a rate that maintain and enhance the resilience of ecosystems. NRW has a number of roles with respect to marine energy. Firstly, we're a statutory advisor to the UK and Welsh governments and other planners, such as the Crown Estate, on development plans and strategic assessments of those plans. We're also a statutory advisor to decision-making authorities on project development under a wide range of legislation. Finally, we're a regulator for a range of activities associated with marine energy development under the Marine and Coastal Access Act. Because we have these regulatory as well as advisory roles, it's important that we have a degree of separation between these functions. However, where appropriate, both sides of the business work together to ensure our advice is timely, robust, and based on sound evidence. We apply the principles of sustainable management of natural resources across our roles, and in doing so, we'll seek to optimise opportunities for sustainable exploitation of marine renewable energy in Wales. We want Wales to be a location of choice for marine renewable energy, which is good for people, the environment, and business. I'll spend the remainder of my presentation talking through some of the key things NRW is doing, which we hope will help achieve this through the delivery of these functions. So NRW works closely with government and marine planning authorities, and we provide advice to a number of key government departments and organisations. For example, we provide advice to the Welsh Government to inform the development of their energy and low-carbon aspirations. Last year, we provided advice to the Welsh Government's Marine Energy Task and Finish Group, which was established to advise the Minister for Business, Economy, Science and Transport on a sustainable approach to deliver jobs, growth and wealth from the emerging marine energy sector. NRW sits as an advisory member on the Marine Energy Wales Board, a role undertaken by Kate Smith, who many of you may know. And this board is tasked with progressing the Task and Finish Group's recommendations. We also work with the UK Government and advise the Department for Energy and Climate Change, and now the Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy, on the development and delivery of strategic plans for offshore energy in the UK and the supporting strategic environment assessments. Most recently, we provided detailed input into the UK review of Tidal Lagoons. In our evidence, we emphasised the need for an evidence-based, strategic, policy-led approach to considering the potential for tidal lagoons in the UK, along with others, and as has been mentioned already, we're now awaiting government's response to the review, but welcome the emphasis placed within it on the need for a policy framework for tidal lagoons. We work closely with the Crown Estate on their strategic seabed leasing programmes for marine energy. Most recently, we provided advice to inform their seabed leasing programme, which culminated in the leasing of 2 areas in Wales for the development of wave Untitled demonstration zones. We continue to work with the managers of these zones to ensure their sustainable development, and we're going to be hearing more from Geralt and Claire about their plans for the 2 zones later on today. We're now working with the Crown Estate on their rolling programme of seabed leasing for smaller scale wave and tidal. The Wales Act, the Wales National Marine Plan and the Environment Wales Act are key opportunities, and NRW has and continues to work closely with Welsh Government on the mechanisms they provide for including further devolution of energy decision and policy making powers for Wales in the coming months and years. The UK Marine and Coastal Access Act established powers for Welsh ministers to plan for Welsh seas, with the purpose of contributing to the sustainable development of the marine area. Welsh Government are leading on production of the first Welsh National Marine Plan, and once in place, it will provide the framework for the marine environment in Wales. Under the Environment Act, NRW recently published a report on the state of Wales's natural resources, known as SONAR, which assessed the extent to which the natural resources are being sustainably managed. The Welsh Government's natural resources policy builds on the evidence in SONAR. Together, the Marine Plan and the Environment Act will put in place measures to plan and manage Wales's natural resources in a proactive, sustainable and long-term way. During the process to develop the Marine Plan, marine renewable energy was identified by the Welsh Government as one of 3 priority sectors for Wales, the others being aquaculture and aggregates. As has been touched upon the talk so far today, the Marine Plan includes policies which are very supportive of the marine energy sector, including identifying strategic resource areas to encourage marine energy development, and policies which require that decision-making is risk-based, proportionate and based on sound evidence. NRW has a key role in supporting implementation of the Marine Plan through the delivery of our advisory and regulatory functions, and once the plan is in place, all of our work in respect of regulatory decisions and our advice and evidence will have to take account of the plan and its policies. We're working with Welsh Government to translate the policies in the plan into practical measures through the development of our advice, evidence and guidance. In addition to helping NRW understand what implementation of the plan may mean for us, this will also help you as the marine energy sector to understand the requirements of the Marine Plan and ensure that consent applications for project development comply with its policies. More generally, we hope our advice, evidence and guidance to support the Marine Plan will also lead to more clarity and transparency about how decisions are made in the marine environment and the evidence used to inform them. The Environment Wales Act also provides for the production of area statements by NRW. We're currently exploring what these area statements might look like. We want them to add value to and support the marine planning process and implementation of the Marine Plan. We must ensure that our advice and decisions relating to marine energy are robust and based on sound evidence. There remains a lot to do to understand potential environmental effects of marine renewable energy at both strategic scale and project level. This presents a challenge to all of us working within this sector. Development of the evidence base is a crucial part of facilitating the sustainable development of the marine energy sector, and NRW is leading on and involved in a number of mechanisms to improve access to the existing evidence base and fill key gaps. For example, we're working with Welsh Government to explore ways of improving access to the existing data and information of relevance to your sector through their marine planning portal, which allows anyone to view maps online showing the distribution of human activities and natural resources in Welsh seas. NRW is a member of the Steering Group for Offshore Renewables Joint Industry Programme for Ocean Energy, or GIP Ocean Energy. This is a collaborative UK-wide programme with the aim of reducing regulatory risks for wave, tidal stream and tidal range projects. We've provided a great deal of input to this initiative to help reach a consensus across the UK on the key evidence gaps for wave and tidal stream energy, and this is now helping to steer research programmes to fill those gaps. More recently, we've been working with the ORGIP Ocean Energy Secretariat and the Natural Environment Research Council to organise a workshop on the key evidence gaps and research priorities for tidal lagoons. This will build on collective experience gained during the consenting process for Swansea Bay Tidal Lagoon, as well as evidence submitted to the UK Tidal Lagoon Review. This workshop will be held in May and will ensure that we have a solid foundation on which to build a robust evidence base for any future programme of tidal lagoons in Wales and the wider UK. Through ORGIP Ocean Energy and wider links with the US Department of Energy's Ocean Energy Systems Programme, we're exploring ways to bridge the gap between science and policy to accelerate the incorporation of research findings into decision-making. This might include producing knowledge summaries or good practice guidance on key issues. Ultimately, we hope that this will help deliver a more proportionate and risk-based approach to environmental impact assessment processes for marine energy developments, and that some issues can be retired much earlier from assessment processes in the future. We're looking to trial this type of approach with issues for which there is already a significant amount of evidence, such as the environmental effects of electromagnetic fields. In the longer term, we're hopeful that we can be more ambitious in tackling some of the more complex and challenging topics and issues. Uncertainty associated with marine energy technologies and their environmental impacts present a real challenge to NRW, both in our regulatory decision-making and in the provision of our advice. Any development must satisfy all the legislative requirements prior to consent being granted, and this can take time. We work proactively with developers to find solutions to resolve or address this uncertainty within the limitations of the legislation with which we must comply. For example, through the consenting process for Tidal Energy Limited's Delta Stream project in Ramsey Sound, significant lessons were learnt in managing risk and uncertainty within acceptable limits, and the role of deploy and monitor-based approach. This project used adaptive management as a way of dealing with uncertainty about impacts. The success of this approach was based on the ability to review and monitor the impact and amend the operation accordingly. This project was groundbreaking in this respect, and the important steps Tidal Energy Limited and Delta Stream made should not be underestimated. We're currently working with the managers of Morlais, the tidal energy demonstration zone off Anglesey, to explore principles of good practice for defining project envelopes, which balance the need for flexibility in permissions with the need to have a tangible project against which to assess environmental impacts. We hope this will help develop collective understanding for this challenging issue, which is common across the entire marine energy sector. We encourage early engagement between NRW and developers to develop a shared understanding about key uncertainties and ensure that environmental statements are based on good quality information and sound evidence. Finally, I wanted to use this opportunity today to provide an update on some changes to fees and charging schemes that we're introducing in Natural Resources Wales. Welsh Government are responsible for marine licensing fees in Wales and have been undertaking a review of them with NRW. The ultimate aim of the fees is to achieve full cost recovery for the services provided. The new fees are due to be implemented in April this year. The fees review and its structure will be no surprise to Marine Energy Wales and its members, as Natural Resources Wales and Welsh Government have been working with a stakeholder group in which Marine Energy Wales have played an active role. Streamlining and efficiencies have formed part of the review, and in the future there will be banded activities based on risk level, and the bands are listed on the slide. For further information on these new marine licensing fees, please see NRW's web pages or contact us directly. I'll provide some contact details at the end. And just to say that there are members of our team here today that you can have a chat with. As mentioned earlier, NRW is a statutory consultee for marine energy developments, and we receive regular requests from developers for advice, which goes beyond our statutory duties, particularly at the pre-application stage. We value the importance of early and effective engagement and the benefits this can bring. However, it's increasingly challenging to balance the resourcing of this discretionary advice with our statutory work. And for this reason, over the past 2 years, we've consulted on the principle of introducing charges for those aspects of our planning advice which are discretionary, where there is no statutory duty or requirement for NRW to provide its advice. We intend to start rolling out a charging scheme for our discretionary advice from April, and the intention is that all free pre-app advice will eventually stop. The scheme will have a phased introduction, starting with NSIP and DNS projects, and other elements will in time include marine licensing and smaller scale wave and tidal energy, but the exact timescale of this is yet to be decided on. But as soon as we've got more clarity, we will share this information with Marine Energy Wales. Just to say that our advice will comprise of 3 key elements. There will still be a free core service for statutory consultations. There'll be free preliminary opinion for an indication of key issues or preliminary advice on key evidence, and then we'll move to charging for additional advice. For further information on how this might affect our input on future marine energy projects in Welsh waters, there is further information on our website, or please speak to us directly. I've now run out of time. So finally, I thought it would just be useful to provide some key contact details, which I'm sure Dave and his colleagues will be happy to circulate. I hope that this brief presentation has provided a useful overview of NRW and our role in supporting the development of the sustainable marine energy industry in Wales at what is a very exciting time for the sector. Diolch yn fawr iawn am wrando. Thank you very much for listening.